Hey everyone, and welcome back. So June is Pride Month, and this week we're highlighting the LGBT Center and their Community Casework Program. The organization is known for empowering LGBT communities while advocating for justice and opportunity. Their latest program, Community Casework, centers on supporting survivors of trauma, addressing various areas during and after a traumatic experience. And joining us to tell us more, please welcome the Director of Support Services, Nathalie Chara. Hi, Nathalie.
Hi, thank you for having me here today.
Yeah, well, happy Pride Month.
Thank you, right back at you.
Yeah, thanks. And you know, the idea is that we actually operate with that pure pride within our hearts, right? In the sense of, well, you know, there's a lot that's been going on within this community, and the fact that June is the month of celebration, there's a lot of other aspects to one coming to terms with whatever their choices in lives are, or people they've had to, you know, deal with in how they've been dealt with that are harboring in people's bodies. So let's talk about this service that the center is offering that you had.
Yes, so our community casework program is actually something that's been developed a bit over the course of the pandemic itself, and is really starting to gear itself up, and was launched at the beginning of 2021. And really it is to put a highlighted focus on what trauma is and the diversity of trauma in and of itself, and then also shifting into a model of looking at and supporting what survivorship looks like at every level. So the idea being that survivorship is broad, and people are in different parts of their journeys, and that we as advocates in the community itself are here to elevate their voices and also recognize their expertise in their own journey.
And so, in this program, how were you able to identify what the specific needs of the communities, of this particular communities is or are?
Yeah, it's been a learning process for sure, because there's a lot of text out there that tells us very, you know, kind of basic needs: food, housing, shelter, supportive care, right? There are those needs that we definitely focus on, but it's also important for us to pay attention and hear from the community itself. So we have employed a number of different information gathering tools, surveys, interviews, focus groups, and then as well as really trying to move into a space of diverse hiring to make sure that we have staff that are reflective of community and also understand the lived experience of what different traumas, different intersections of life can look like.
Right. So, and the reason we're having this conversation, and I'm trying to just elaborate a little more, is because you're also serving like immigrant needs and also transgender, and right, because it's the LGBT Center, right? Technically, it's LGBTQ. I believe are the additional letters. And so what does all of that mean as we keep expanding and just really becoming a lot more knowledgeable with people's needs?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, because I think what ends up happening is, right, we start adding things and then it's like we kind of get lost along the way. But really it is employing an intersectional lens. So not only are we working with LGBTQIA plus communities, right? So that is a kind of across the spectrum and really the term that a lot of folks are using, but we also recognize that there are a lot of parts of our lives that intersect with that, but aren't only that, right? So you're absolutely spot on in bringing up how we have shifted the focus, not just with this LGBTQIA lens, but also looking at immigrant communities, asylum-seeking communities, undocumented community, trans and gender expansive communities, not just part of the whole, but really wanting to give them kind of a special attention and make sure that we are hearing their voices in a way that maybe not other places are able to do. And then as well as wanting to bridge gaps to affirming care, because this is something that we run into a lot there are so many different challenges and oppressions that we've seen from folks in our communities that have, that they've been facing at such a wide level, that wanting to connect them not only with healthcare, but healthcare that supports them, that's going to use, their name, that is going to recognize their needs, that is not going to cause any shame or any type of pain or harm when they are working with them, right? So really focusing on connecting them back to larger communities, but in a way that is very tailored and holistic and sensitive to those needs.
Right. And so, so how does one become eligible for these services? And is there like a registration for these types of support programs? And is there a time span? Is it like, do you cap it on a certain amount of people? Is it, does it rotate? So how does one seek this type of assistance from the center?
Yeah. So we've actually built this program to be as low threshold and as low eligibility or requirements as needed, because again, we recognize that the first time meeting somebody during an intake, they're not going to sit there and tell us everything that has happened, right? It's a very personal experience. And again, in being trauma informed, we are not expecting that, nor do we press for any of that information. What we'd like to do is have people come in and just talk to us, really reach out to us, talk to us, call us, email us, chat us, send us a message on Instagram, anywhere really. As long as you make that first connection, then we have folks who will redirect you to different areas. And again, all of our teams are trained to do complete assessments, so to say. Oh, I hear that not only are you, working through some immigration issues, but you're also need health care. You also really could use supportive mental health counseling, right? We're seeing all these different aspects. And so in our full assessment, at that point, it's like, okay, I recognize this need, and this need. So let's diversify what their care looks like here.
Right. And so because this was implemented during the pandemic, and everyone's dealing with some sort of something, right? Is what I'm calling it, because I'm just so over it on a personal level. Yeah. However, because this is Pride Month, this is the month where everyone's out there celebrating, and even that's going to be modified because of the limitations. How does one really get to that place of being true to self and making that step and taking that step to really be with self and heal thyself?
Yeah, I love that question, because a lot of the times we think that it's just as easy, like just reach out, just call us, right? It's not a big deal, but it actually really is. It takes a tremendous amount of energy, and really, again, in a survivor's own expertise, they are the ones who are going to determine when they can take a step like that, whenever that step is possible for them, right? And it is our job on our end to respect that expertise and their own journey, and then to be here with open arms and a warmth to us that once that moment comes, we are here to help you in the journey, not take over your journey or not tell you what your journey will look like, but actually just support as much as possible and be here to listen. Sometimes, right, the work that we do is just listening and supporting. And that in and of itself is tremendous, because how many people are taking the time to be able to do that, right? Not a lot. And so that's where really we have to keep that at the forefront of being advocates, that sometimes we are just here to listen. Sometimes we sit with the discomfort that somebody's feeling. We are here to support. We are not here to put our own agenda on the situation at all.
Wonderful and very welcoming and very well said. And thank you for bringing it to our audience. I mean, although she said the LGBT Community Center is there to listen, they also have lots of resources. So if you are in need, please do not hesitate to reach out. Once again, that's Nathalie Chara, of Director of Support Services at the center. And if you're interested in the Community Casework Program, all you got to do is visit gaycenter.org. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.